Hi everyone, welcome to our very first informational webinar. Thank you guys so much for coming. Um, okay, I'm gonna admit people from the waiting room as we go. So if I pause, sorry. Okay. Okay. So welcome. Yay. So this is a quick timeline of what we'll be going over during this webinar. We don't expect it to last any more than 40 minutes to an hour. So yeah. Okay. So first we'll be going over what is STEMsters. Recording in progress. Whoa. Go. Okay, so first we'll be going over what we are, a little bit more about our nonprofit. Next, we'll be going over how to start a chapter, which is probably why most of you guys are here right now because you want to be more involved in STEMsters. Then I'll be going over chapter maintenance and how to run a chapter and maintain it and keep it successful. Finally, we'll be going over an FAQ and a Q&A. And for the FAQ, we did use questions that you guys input in the Google form when you guys filled it out to show interest in the webinar. And then, of course, we'll be doing a brief summary before wrapping up the webinar. Okay. Okay, so what is STEMsters? So this is our executive cabinet. So my name is Elisa. I am the current executive president of STEMsters. This is our board. So we have Molly. She is our director of management, and what management does is they handle chapter maintenance. We also have Howie, who is our program outreach director, and he's also in charge of handling centers. So contacting centers that we can work with for our lessons, for our chapters. We also have Shrieker. He is our chapter outreach director. Olivia, did you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Olivia. I'm the PR director, and I just handle most of the social media stuff.
Yeah. And we also have Jet. He is our director of curriculum. So he's in charge of just making our curriculum for our lessons that we teach to students. And finally, we have Carrie. Carrie, are you here? Do you want to introduce yourself? I think she's here, right?
But she can't unmute. Just introduce her.
Okay. So we have Carrie. She is our director of content creation. So she handles and organizes a lot of the Instagram reels that you guys may have found us from recently. So yeah, that's our executive cabinet right now. Okay. So what is STEMsters? So we are a 501(c)(3) nonprofit based in the United States. We're dedicated to teaching kids after-school programs about STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that acronym. We teach through fun, engaging, hands-on projects. So high school students that create their chapters at their schools can earn certified volunteer hours while also helping students at their school earn hours too. And if you're wondering what I mean by certified volunteer hours, don't worry. I'll dive more into that shortly. So, by volunteering and actively working with our nonprofit, you can join a community of fun, gain leadership experience, become eligible for the PVSA, strengthen your college resume, and also explore new endeavors. So, yeah. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, we do teach STEM lessons to students from grades K through 8 through hands-on interactive learning. So here are some of our most recent projects that we'd like to share with you guys today. So we have the name of the project and then also some images that were taken by actual volunteers at the lessons. So first we have egg drop, and in this, I'm sure this is a very popular experiment that most of you guys have probably heard of in the past. It's just essentially creating a contraption um, to protect an actual egg from breaking from a fall. So in this lesson, students learned about air resistance and gravity. We also have our super creative and very cute art robot, where students learned about circuits and vibration. And finally, we have our mechanical hand. And this is a photo of a student with her mechanical hand next to her real hand. And students learned about tendons and prosthetics here. And as you can probably tell by these photos, all of our projects are 100% testable and they all have their own unique functions, which makes the lessons a lot more engaging for our students. Oh, okay. So now I'm going to talk about the PVSA. So the PVSA is the President's Volunteer Service Award. It is given to people that show outstanding volunteer service in the United States. And what's interesting about the PVSA is that only IRS certified nonprofits can certify volunteer hours for the PVSA. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are 501(c)(3), which means we are IRS certified. So, we are able to certify your volunteer hours that you earn through our organization. We're able to certify that and convert it into hours that you can use to get the PVSA. So over here on the left, we have the award eligibilities based on your age and how many hours you would need. So if you're 15 and under, you would need 50 certified volunteer hours for the bronze award, 75 hours for a silver award, and 100 for gold. However, if you fall into the 16 and older age group, you need 100 certified volunteer hours for bronze, 175 for silver, and 250 for gold. Okay. Okay. Yes. And now I'm going to hand it over to Shrika. Oh, okay. Hold on, guys. We're having some technical difficulties, so I'm just gonna continue. So, how to start a chapter, which is how you can be more involved in STEMsters. And it's probably like the main reason why most of you guys are here. So, okay, so really quickly, we have some expectations that I want to go over for, prospective chapter presidents.
We'll go over what a chapter is.
Oh, oh yeah. So a
Real
chapter,
quick.
yeah, sorry. So a chapter is essentially kind of like a club or like a branch of our organization. They function through your high school. So if you go to um a certain school and you want to start a chapter at your school, you would start it as a club, and from there, our chapter team will guide you and help you to get to a point where you're able to hold your own STEMsters lessons at local after-school centers near you.
So you're basically bringing STEMsters to your own school.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Okay, so some quick expectations that I'm going to go over. So, as a chapter president or a prospective chapter president, we expect you to be responsible and in charge of your team, meaning your board members. You'll be responsible for picking your own board, so make sure that you choose your board wisely. Make sure you choose the right people for your team. You want to make sure that you're able to manage your time well and be available and pretty flexible. And make sure that spots are filled for all of your lessons because we are bringing STEMsters to you. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you're, helping in the sense that you're able to keep your volunteer slots filled for your lessons. Okay, so what do we do on our end to help you with starting a chapter? So all materials for lessons will be provided by us, by our corporate team. All presentations for the lesson and lesson videos are made by us as well. And we'll send you these for each experiment that will be taught. And you'll also have a chapter team member helping you establish your chapter. Okay, so I'm gonna play this quick, like 2 or 3 minute video on how to teach a STEMsters lesson. This is really, really important, so make sure you guys are paying attention because as a chapter, it is your main responsibility to, carry out successful lessons. So it's really important that you guys are able to at least have some insight on how to teach a lesson if you guys are interested in starting a chapter. So
Arrive, make sure you are dressed appropriately.
I'm gonna start over. Oh.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, sorry guys, technical difficulties.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to STEMsters. Today, we are going to learn how to teach a lesson properly. Before you arrive, make sure you are dressed appropriately. This includes nothing too revealing, like tank tops, off-the-shoulder tops, and pajamas. Arrive 10 minutes before the class is scheduled to start, and don't forget a laptop. Prioritize being early. When you arrive, introduce yourself as a part of STEMsters to the teachers and ask them where the tote bags are. If you were delivered the experiment materials, don't worry about the tote bags. Next, find the bag with the correct experiment name for the project you're teaching. And don't forget the general materials bag, which you will need at all events. Then, find the worksheets with the correct experiment name and prepare to pass them out to the students before you begin the slideshow. Also prepare to pass out the project materials to each group by organizing sets for groups. Remember to either project the experiment slideshow by asking a teacher for assistance or by just presenting your laptop to the class if there is no TV or projector available. Understand each person's role in the lesson that you are going to teach before arriving. Designate who will speak for which slides within your volunteering group. To begin, capture the attentions of the kids. If you are having trouble, try clapping rhythmically or using any attention-calling phrases that you have established at the start of the lesson. Now, for some friendly reminders, use appropriate language while teaching and refrain from using your phone except for when you're taking pictures. Present the project slides in the proper order. Teach all the STEM topics included and keep an interactive audience by asking questions to the class or demonstrating visual examples. Present the project video as well, going over the instructions and introducing the materials. The presentation should take around 15 minutes in total. Be sure to reserve time for the actual experiment. Once you're done, organize the students into groups. If needed, count the students off by number. Kindly hand out the materials to each group following the quantities listed in the presentation. Organizing the materials beforehand is recommended for a quick and easy handing out process. Throughout the experiment, feel free to assist the students. Make sure that the class is a fun and educational experience. Guide the class through each step and ensure that all groups end with a successful project. Also, throughout the lesson, if there are kids acting out, keep calm and report it to a teacher to help resolve the situation. Be sure to also take pictures for proof of your attendance. Make sure to ask for a teacher and a student's consent if you want to take pictures of their faces. Otherwise, only take photos of the experiment. Make sure the subject of your photo is not too far or too close, and centered and straight. The setting of 0.5 is not recommended. Most importantly, remember the pictures that you submit might be chosen for official Instagram accounts, so make sure they're good quality. Once finished, test the projects if needed. Be sure to start cleanup, which should start around 15 minutes before the end of the lesson. Make sure no trash is left behind and that any messes are cleaned. At the end, give a general recap and emphasize the connection between the project and the lesson. Make sure to elaborate and answer any questions that the kids may have. Conclude and thank the staff as well to show respect to the educational center. If the staff have any questions that you cannot answer, let them know that they can send us an email or make a call to us. Lastly, remember to fill out the volunteer verification form located in Google Classroom. This ensures that you receive the hours that you just earned. Other forms, such as Instagram repost form and STEMsters referral forms, are other ways to gain volunteer hours as well. That concludes our video on teaching a class with STEMsters. Thank you for watching and please check out all our socials. All links are in the description. See you next time.
Okay. Perfect. Cool. Okay, there we go.
Hi everyone. Welcome.
Okay, before we continue, I'm gonna also just to clarify, lessons are volunteering events. So if you guys heard that in the video, lessons are volunteering events. So that's how you guys, that's like the number one way that you guys will be able to earn your hours along with your volunteer base. So okay, I'm reading the chat. I see your guys' questions. I see that you guys are there's a lot of like concern like revolving becoming an official club at your school, especially at this time during the school year. I will be going over that during the FAQ, I promise. So yeah, but yeah, okay. So I'm gonna admit more people from the waiting room really quickly.
You want to answer it real quick?
Oh yeah, okay. Just to answer that really quickly, the best way to function as a chapter without being an official club at your school would to be starting an interest group. So yeah.
Wait.
Make it more depth.
Okay, so you don't have to be an official club at your school to be a part of STEMsters. You can just start it like separate from your school, so it can be called an interest group, which is basically a club without being under your school, basically.
Yeah.
But same thing.
Yeah. But I know like a lot of schools have different rules for like interest groups and stuff. So if that's, gonna be a conflict, we can settle that a little bit later. Okay, so let's continue the slideshow. Okay, so we do have a step-by-step process laid out for you guys. This is just like a general layout. It is subject to change. That's what the chapter director told me, but this is what we have as of right now. So to start off, you would have to apply to be a chapter, and I do want to clarify this is we're currently only available to students in the USA. This is just for a variety of reasons. We're hoping to expand into other countries later on, but as of right now, we are only limited to students in the US. So yeah, in order to apply to be a chapter, you would have to fill out the application, which is linked in our link tree, which is in our Instagram bio. Next, you would be responsible for building your team. So typically, if you apply to be a chapter, you would be the president, but basically you would just want to make sure you have an established team of the following roles. So president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and public relations. And just those are some very general roles. You can add some depending on what you think is best for your school. But we do have specific responsibilities for each of these roles. So those will be gone over in a chapter meeting. So once you guys apply to be a chapter team member will communicate with you on what responsibilities are necessary for these roles, and that can kind of help you figure out who you want to be for your board. You would also have to attend training meetings, so you would participate in online training sessions with their team. So our chapter team would help guide you through the entire process. So they would kind of give you a rundown, go through some meetings, and then when you guys are ready, they'll go over a training meeting, which is like basically training on how to teach a lesson, just to make sure you guys as a board are, able to handle teaching a lesson. Because as a chapter, you'll also be responsible for teaching your other volunteers in your club or in your chapter to teach lessons as well. You'd also be responsible for maintaining your drive and Instagram. So you'd have to post on Instagram as an example, or post updates or reminders on Google Classroom or Remind or whatever other platform you think works best for you. You are also given a Google Drive by the chapter team. I'm not going to dive too much into that, but the drive would contain all the information and documents that you would need in order to keep your chapter running. So this ranges from a curriculum, so lesson slideshows, spreadsheets to track hours, etc. And of course, you would be responsible as a chapter for increasing your volunteer count. That is probably the most important step in creating a successful chapter. So you would want to advertise and increase your volunteer count for more volunteer opportunities. Again, volunteer opportunities being lessons. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I'm looking at
They'll be
another page.
scheduled.
So what days are the training meetings? They will be scheduled between you and the chapter team based on your board's availability as well as the chapter team members' availability. Does the whole team need to attend the trainings or just the president? So that's a good question. So I believe for the first meeting, it's only the president that needs to attend, but then there are multiple meetings, as you can see right here in this slide. But for some of the meetings, the entire team will be encouraged to join. But for the very first meeting, it'll just be the president. But for the training specifically, it would be the whole team. Yeah. How do you organize the training meetings? That's the same question as earlier. They would be organized between you and your board and your assigned chapter team member. So now I'm going to talk about some meetings. Okay, so the first meeting would be with just the president. So this would be meeting up with the president or founder of a new STEMsters chapter. So again, if you fill out the chapter interest form, it shows that you are interested in leading your own chapter and being the prospective president of it. So this would just be like a quick introductory meeting. Next, there would be officer interviews, and this would essentially just be you inviting the people that you are hoping to have as your board members. Your assigned chapter team member would be interviewing these potential officers just to make sure that you're making, the right decisions for having a successful board. The third meeting would be the training meeting, which would be teaching lessons. So your chapter team member would teach you how to teach a lesson with your board and also help you on center researching. And by center researching, I mean researching after school centers that are local to your school. Maybe like, for example, you're like the prospective president and you're about to start a chapter and you're really eager to um, teach at an after school program that you maybe grew up in or grew up with. You could definitely recommend that to your chapter team member and they would check in with the center team to see if we can get a partnership and get some lessons running there, just as an example. But yeah. The fourth meeting would be practice lessons. So after the third meeting, which is where you're trained on how to teach a lesson, you and your board will be responsible for practicing your lesson before meeting number 4, which is the actual lesson practice. So you'd be basically presenting a lesson to your chapter team member. So let's say I'm your chapter team member. We went over all of our meetings. I trained you on how to teach a lesson. So meeting 4 comes around and it's finally time for you guys to present and teach the lesson to me as if I'm a student that you're teaching it to at an after school program. And at this meeting, you'll also receive feedback from your team member as well. The fifth meeting would be the Drive and Instagram meeting. And at this meeting, your chapter team member would compile your chapter's Google Drive for you, as well as provide you with an Instagram login for your chapter. And this will help you just run your chapter again. And finally, we have our sixth meeting, which is a check-in meeting. So this will be after a month of you being an independent chapter. So around a month after of becoming an established chapter. And this will just be a quick check-in meeting just to make sure that everything's running smoothly, help with any questions or concerns you may have as a new chapter. And yeah. Okay, so part 3, running a chapter. So this is again chapter maintenance or are there any questions?
Oh, I'm
before?
answering.
Oh.
I'm gonna answer the questions in the chat.
Oh yeah, Olivia is
I'll
answering
reply
questions.
to most of them.
Yeah, okay. So running a chapter. So how to maintain a chapter at your high school and keep it as successful as possible. So, okay. The most important part is that you're optimizing your chapter operations for both engagement and growth. So running a chapter, of course, it's important that you have consistent growth. And you also want to make sure that you have engaged, active members because those members will essentially be helping you keep your volunteer slots filled and also fostering a sense of community. So it goes beyond just, hosting lessons at your school after school center. You really want to build a framework that will, ensure as much stability and success in the long run for your chapter. And so in order for your future chapter to thrive, here are 3 key components that we've put together that you should focus on how to encourage them within your chapter. So to start off, we have active participation. Of course, you want to organize weekly or bi-weekly meetings or just regular meetings. And these would be general meetings with your entire your board as well as your club members and volunteers as well. And these meetings would just be, to discuss upcoming events and upcoming lessons. You can also have incentives in place. So this can be up to you what you want it to be, whether it's hosting fundraisers, having STEMsters of the Month posts on Instagram or social media, etc. And just posting lessons as assignments on Google Classroom in order to force an interaction and encourage your volunteers to feel the sense of ownership that they have for their volunteer hours. In addition to this, there's also communication, and this is essentially like communication from your board's end. So you guys would be responsible for posting out weekly announcements about lessons. You guys can do this through Google Classroom or Remind or whatever other platform you think would be best fit for your school. You guys could send reminders in the beginning of the week of the lesson and also send a reminder 3 to 2 days before the lesson. I will be showing a quick calendar timeline on sending reminders just to kind of show you guys what that looks like. As well as holding regular weekly or bi-weekly meetings among your entire board to address any issues because it's really important that as as a board of a STEMsters chapter, your board works together to address any issues from the beginning so that they don't progress later on. And finally, growth and expansion. So you guys could create more volunteer opportunities for your volunteers. So an interesting thing about our organization is that we make earning volunteer hours really easy. So for instance, of course, attending STEMsters lessons is the primary way to earn volunteer hours, but it goes beyond that. So for example, you could make posting about lessons or reposting your chapter's post a way to earn volunteer hours. So what I mean by that is you could tell your volunteers that if they attend a STEMsters lesson, they could take a picture or a video of it and post it onto the Instagram story, and they can earn volunteer hours through that. Or they could also repost some posts from your chapter's Instagram. So let's say your chapter makes an Instagram post promoting upcoming lessons for the week. If someone were to repost that, they could also earn volunteer hours as well. So that would really help gauge some growth and expansion, especially if your chapter is, struggling to get consistent volunteers, as well as partnerships with other clubs. So for example, Key Club, Interact Club, etc. So just any major volunteer clubs at your school with large volunteer bases, we encourage you to partner with those clubs so that you can create a strong volunteer base and also help introduce STEMsters as a new club to other people at your school that are obviously very interested in volunteer work. And you could also point team leader roles in order to create leadership pathways and encourage long-term participation from your active volunteers. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I was going to show you guys a quick timeline of what lesson reminders should look like. Okay, so in the green boxes represent lesson reminders that are being posted, whether it's on Instagram stories or posts, Remind or Google Classroom announcements, or even Google Classroom assignments. And then the gray boxes resemble the lesson date. So in this case, let's say a lesson is scheduled to be on Friday the 11th. This chapter would choose to, or they should be responsible for posting 2 reminders, one at the beginning of the week, which is in this case Monday the 7th, and one about 2 to 3 days before the lesson, so in this case Wednesday the 9th. And in other situations, let's say the lesson is on Wednesday the 23rd, the chapter would post a reminder on Saturday the 19th, as well as Monday the 21st. So yeah. Okay, now for
Oh, wait. They're asking about how many hours you would earn.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go over that right now,
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I believe that's one of the questions in the frequently asked questions. Hold on. Some people joined the waiting room, so I'm gonna admit them really quickly. Oh. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so FAQ and Q&A. So this is just me answering your questions. So frequently asked questions. Again, these were taken from the Google form that you guys filled out. So these are actual questions that you guys had about STEMsters. So if I miss any, don't worry because I'll be doing a live Q&A after with Olivia. So, okay. How do I get hours with STEMsters? So we track hours through a Google form. There are different ways to earn hours through STEMsters. So these are the different ways listed. So attending a club meeting, so like a general meeting at your school, or if you're not able to have meetings at on your school campus, you could also host them online as well. This would grant the volunteer 1 hour. Referring another person to join STEMsters. So let's say I really like STEMsters and I think it's really, fun and interesting, and I invite Olivia to join, and then she joins and she attends a lesson. That would give me 2 volunteer hours. And teaching and volunteering at a lesson, teaching a STEMsters lesson would grant me 2 hours, and then posting about your teaching experience on Instagram would grant you another hour. So I think that question was asked in the chat, so I hope that answers your question. And as a reminder, we are PVSA eligible, so that means that you're, by volunteering with our organization, you are earning hours that are PVSA certified and could help you earn the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. Okay. So next question, how long does it take to officially start a chapter? So this can really vary depending on, time availabilities and other factors. whether it's logistical factors or just, time difference factors. But it can take roughly a month to get your chapter approved if all processes go smoothly. Okay, so question number 3, how would I know what after schools how do I know what after schools we work with our chapter? So our corporate team at STEMsters will handle, which after schools you work with within your chapter. So we'll handle the lesson scheduling and the location as well. Oh, and it's really important that you guys have a good volunteer base because once we schedule these lessons, it's very difficult to reschedule them. So yeah. We handle all the lesson scheduling, the locations. We try to make it so that the location is within 10-15 minute drive of your high school, just for convenience. And once our team schedules nearby after school lessons in your area, we'll give you guys a sign up genius where you guys will be able to sign up for your lessons and also send it to your volunteers to get them to sign up as well. Okay, so question 4, how would I obtain the lesson materials for the events? So lesson materials do not need to be purchased by your chapter, except for like certain things like eggs, I believe is one of them, because eggs are perishable and they expire. So yeah, aside from that, that's very rare occurrences. So 99% of the time, we will be purchasing and shipping out all of your materials to the after school programs beforehand. So question 5, how often do STEMsters lessons occur? So STEMsters lessons typically occur once every 2 weeks or once a week, depending on how big your chapter is. So if your chapter is really fresh and really new, maybe we'd start you off with one lesson every 2 weeks, just to make sure you're able to, at least handle that responsibility. And if your chapter is doing really well and there's a lot of demand for more lessons and people are really interested in it, then we would schedule more lessons, so maybe like 1 or 2 lessons a week. Okay, so question 6, how would I know what after schools we should
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Ignore that.
whoa. Okay. Whoops, I just answered that. Okay. Question 6, how should we prepare for a STEMs lesson? So before going to a lesson, make sure to review the concepts that you're teaching and the project that you're building beforehand in order to ensure that your lesson will run smoothly. Also encourage your volunteer base, not just you as a board, because remember, just because you're the board doesn't mean that you're the only people that are going to be attending these lessons, right? Because you want to have your entire volunteer base, a strong volunteer base. So also encourage your club members and the rest of your volunteers to prep for the lesson beforehand and review the lesson slideshow. So discuss how you're going to teach the lesson with other volunteers who signed up for the lesson. And yeah, these things can really help you facilitate the lesson and make sure that it runs well. And as a reminder, you can always refer back to our volunteer guide video that I showed you guys earlier. You guys can refer back to it on our YouTube channel, which is just STEMsters. Okay. Question 8, is there a minimum requirement for the number of members in order to become a STEMsters chapter? So we highly recommend that you guys or you as a board have compiled at least like 5 to 10 dedicated volunteers at the start of your STEMsters journey, just to make sure that you have at least 5 to 10 people that would be willing to attend lessons like pretty frequently. But as your STEMsters chapter grows, more volunteers will be necessary because as your chapter grows, we'll be scheduling more lessons for you. And question 9, how do I get more involved with STEMsters besides just creating a chapter? So you can always apply for corporate positions in our organization based on your interests. So we have a large variety of positions. I'm not going to discuss each one just because I think that'll take a lot of time and we're running out of the allotted meeting time. Because we want this to last under an hour. So but if you want to become more involved with STEMsters and you don't want to create a chapter, you can apply for corporate. So corporate application links.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, corporate application links are posted in our pinned post on Instagram, but it's ideal that you have some STEMsters experience before you apply for corporate. So we encourage you to start a chapter regardless. It increases your chances of getting the corporate
Yeah.
position. Okay. Yay. Okay, so now it's your turn. So if you guys have any other questions about STEMsters, you guys can go ahead and ask them in the chat, and Olivia and I will answer them. Okay. Okay. How many people should volunteer per lesson? Oh, that's a good question. Do you want to answer?
So usually it depends on how big the center is and how big the classroom is, but usually it would be maybe 3 to 5 people per lesson.
Can we collaborate with other schools? You could collaborate with other schools, but we highly encourage your chapter to have a strong volunteer base within your own school, just so that you're not relying on other schools as well. Okay, what do we do in general meetings?
What do you mean by general?
General meetings like club meetings.
Oh, in club meetings? Well, it just depends on your own. I don't know. It's like, how would you answer
You
that?
can make it more. Well, did you mean to raise your hand? Is that a question?
It's okay.
Okay. If you have a question, type it in the chat. I'm not gonna unmute you guys just for different reasons. Sorry. Okay. So what was the question? Oh, general meetings. So you and your board can organize your general meetings and make it unique to your own school or chapter, just to make it more like exciting and engaging for your members.
I know.
But
Okay, so you would go over the project that you're going to teach that week. So you just play that video, the lesson tutorial to your members, and you can just schedule fun interactive games like you can do karaoke, just whatever a regular club does.
Yeah. Okay. On Calendly, are the times Eastern Standard Time or Pacific Standard Time?
I'm pretty sure it would change based off of where you are,
it
but
changes.
just for reference, we are PST time.
Yeah, we are based.
Yeah, we're based in like California area.
Yeah, but if you're from if you're in Eastern Standard Time, then
I'm pretty sure it would change.
the time slots that you see on Calendly would be Eastern Standard Time. Do you need adult supervision? For the lessons, we don't have like hired adults to supervise our lessons, but of course, because we do teach our lessons at after school programs, there are adult staff that work at those after school centers. So if that's what you mean by adult supervision, yes, there is adults supervising the lessons. Who will be the audience of our lessons? Are they the volunteers or just students?
They're after school students.
Yeah.
So they can vary from anywhere from kindergarten to 8th grade, depending on the after school, but you'll be teaching it to them.
Yeah.
So you, the high schooler volunteers, will be teaching to the little after school students.
Yeah, exactly. How would we deal with transportation?
Well, the centers will typically be scheduled like in the
Around
locations are 15 minutes away from you or less. But for transportation, you would have to figure that out on your own.
Yeah. We recommend doing carpools if that's, something that you think is going to be an issue within your chapter. I believe what some of our chapters does is they appoint team leaders, which is just really dedicated, consistent volunteers. And those team leaders, usually since they're able to get to lessons on their own, they're able to provide carpools to other volunteers. So that's definitely one solution for that. But
and the lessons will usually be held right after school. So
yeah. Oh, they're on weekdays, not on weekends.
Yeah.
Okay. I looked on your website and it said that my school has a STEMsters chapter, but we haven't had one that I've seen, so I'm not sure if I can open a chapter or not. Okay. DM us what school it is. If your school is listed on our website and it says that we have a chapter at your school, we should have a chapter at your school because unless
you should do more research and find out what happens. You can maybe ask your office to see if they know about the club, then we can go from there.
Yeah. Does the board teach or do the volunteers teach? Yeah, so your board is like obviously welcome to attend STEMsters lessons if they have the time and if they want to, but we highly encourage you to have a strong volunteer base so that your volunteers can help teach lessons as well. So yeah, both the board and the volunteers are welcome to teach lessons. It just depends who signs up under what slots. What should we
we answer that.
Should I start by creating an in-school club and gathering people before signing up to open a chapter? No.
We have to approve you first.
Yeah.
But then you can start getting people interested. That's a good idea, but we still have to approve you as a chapter first.
Yeah. So don't you can start asking people at your school like if doing STEMsters is something that they're interested in, but
Yeah, that would be a good way to help you get approved
yeah,
because
but do not open it as a chapter, as a club at your school without going through the chapter process first. I noticed that the social media pages of the Instagram have the same theme. What program is used? So that
Huh?
varies. I guess they mean like the aesthetics of. So
We use
basically,
huh?
because the social media pages of the chapters, like they have. So basically, we encourage, well, we don't really tell our chapters to tell their publicists what program they should use for their Instagram. It's just up to you. It's up
Yeah.
to the PR person to decide what program they're most comfortable with. But I believe we do encourage them to have like aesthetic posts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Just
for as in terms of like what program they use, it doesn't really matter. It's
yeah,
just
it can be like Canva, it can be Illustrator, just anything.
yeah. If we establish STEMsters as an interest group, would we need to have a sponsor present? A sponsor? I think that's like an advisor.
Oh, well, it just depends on your school. Some schools have regulations for interest groups as well, but I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
we don't require you to have one.
Yeah.
Right?
From our end, we don't require you to have one, but it depends on your school's
I
rules
think,
specifically.
yeah, ultimately for interest groups, we want you to have a place where you can meet at school still. So if you need a supervisor for that, then you should get one.
Okay. Would you need an advisor for your school that you're doing a chapter on? Would you need an advisor? Oh, okay. So if you're starting a chapter, again, this like really depends depending on the rules that your school has in place. So if your school um won't allow you to be chartered as a club without sorry, if your school doesn't allow you to be chartered as a club without having an advisor, then obviously you would need to get an advisor. So yeah, we highly recommend that you guys do find an advisor if you are interested in becoming a chapter. My school typically has a club rush at the beginning of the year, but in order to have a club for next year, the process to create a club must happen this year. So how would that work?
So for now, you can start off as an interest group, like we said before, and then it's basically just a club, right? And then once your school actually has like club applications, club chartering, then you can just apply for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
What was that?
how do we contact our chapter coordinator slash supervisor?
Oh,
Do they mean the chapter
yeah,
board member?
probably.
Okay, so if you're talking about the chapter team member that I was talking about earlier during the chaptering process part of the meeting, um, we create Instagram group chats with your board, so the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, the entire board, plus your assigned chapter team member. So
And we'll
you'll be
contact
able,
you first.
yeah, we'll contact you first.
Yeah.
It'll be a quick pathway for communication on both ends.
Wait.
I can't open a chapter right now because it's halfway through the school year, but I had already submitted an application. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you already submitted an application to us to become a chapter, but you're not able to officially charter STEMsters as a club at your school at this point in the school year, you can start as an interest group. But yeah. You want to do this?
Did you already go over that?
I think so. Okay. If my club applications for my school start at the end of fall next year, should we still apply right now to become a chapter?
You can, but it was like again, it would just be an interest group.
Yeah.
I think because these are the old ones.
Yeah. We sent a mail. We sent an email as a request to start a chapter at another country.
Huh?
They want to start a chapter at another
Oh,
country.
like Baxit? Oh, okay. We're only based in the
We're
USA.
only, yes.
If you mistyped that, then you can just submit it again. I'm not really sure what she
Mhm.
meant.
I filled out the Google form for a chapter opening and was assigned to an introductory meeting, but then I got a canceled meeting notification. Oh, okay. So recently, especially in like the past couple weeks, we've been getting a lot of new responses for our chapter interest form. So because of that, some of our chapter team members chose to cancel some of their meetings, not because they're not allowing you to start the chapter. Obviously, we're still encouraging you to um, attend the meetings and stuff. But if your meeting got canceled for whatever reason, then you should just
Send us a DM saying your meeting got canceled, and then we'll probably just message you back and send you a new Calendly to set a meeting up.
just set up a new meeting on Calendly. Are there multiple Google Forms for registering service hours, or is it all combined into one form? It's all combined in one form. If we have other lessons we want to teach or come up with, can we? No. So we have a set curriculum for the entire school year, and this curriculum is set up by our curriculum team, and it is sent to the after school centers that we work with. So if we schedule lessons for an entire semester with a certain school, then that school will have the entire schedule for all the lessons for the entire school year. So yeah, because of that, we cannot allow you guys to introduce other lessons on your own.
So how would I sign off on people's service hours / keep track? We have a hours tracking spreadsheet that we give you guys in the future.
And the spreadsheet is programmed to automatically count people's volunteer hours. Oh,
Okay.
I'm currently going through the process of starting a chapter, and I was wondering if we could apply for an actual club in May.
Right. We already answered a lot of this.
Oh, yeah. If they're repeats, we're gonna skip it. Sorry. Would it be just after school centers, or would it be able to collaborate with elementary schools? So yeah, if your board is interested in collaborating with a certain elementary school, you can definitely let your chapter team member know so that the center team, we can relay that to the center team. But elementary schools do tend to be a little bit more difficult to get partnerships with, and the process for that is a little bit longer. So we usually start you off with after school centers, but we can definitely work on elementary schools as well if that's something you guys are interested in.
You know this.
My school is grades 9 through 10.
Oh.
How would that work? Would I have to start another chapter at the 11 to 12 if I want to continue STEMsters? So if your school is grades 9 through 10, then it should work the same way that we mentioned throughout this entire webinar. Same process and everything.
I think as long as your chapter board stays the same, then it'll be fine, and you guys are able to get the same volunteer count, then it'll be fine.
Yeah, okay. We answered this. To start a chapter, would you guys recommend forming an interest group connected to my school's volunteering club, Key Club, and finding dedicated volunteers before forming an independent club, or the other way around? That's a good question. Yeah, we do recommend that you, in this case, we recommend that you do form an interest group connected to Key Club or another like volunteer-based club at your school. Yeah. Am I able to do a 30-minute meeting during lunch for the volunteers if that's the only time we can actually hold a meeting? Yeah, you can hold your school meeting or your general meetings whenever is most convenient for you. We answered that. How much content is there? So by content, I'm assuming you mean lessons. So there is our curriculum is set up on school year basis. So we have an entire school year's worth of curriculum set up. So yeah. Do we have to fundraise any money to pay for anything? No. Everything will be, all the materials and stuff will be provided by us. But if you guys want to fundraise at your school, if your school has it as a requirement that clubs need to fundraise, then you guys are welcome to do fundraisers. But we won't ask you for any money.
Like what? She answered
Which one? Oh, do we have to operate over the summer? So that varies depending on
The after
on the
school.
after school center. So yeah, some centers do want to keep lessons running through over the summer, but some have a separate curriculum for summer. So because of that, it really just varies depending on the after school center. Oh, after we submit the interest form, how long should it take to hear a response via Instagram?
Right now, since there are a lot of responses, I don't think it should take less than a week. But yeah.
Let me answer that.
Okay. Oh, all the same. Oh, answer this one again.
Yeah.
Me?
Oh, an interest group is just a way to, it's basically running as an unofficial club at your school. So if your club doesn't allow you to charter or start a new club at your school outside of like club rush season, then you guys can start an interest group where you would essentially be running as a club without the label of being a club.
If my school doesn't accept the promotion of forming of interest groups, what should I do? So if they don't accept being an interest group, then you would just have to wait until club season starts up again.
This one?
Yeah. Do
Oh,
this one.
do the volunteer hours count for NHS?
I don't think they do.
I don't believe
Oh wait,
they
no,
do.
they do. They do.
Oh, really?
At my school they do.
I think it depends on your school. Yeah. Oh, if our leaders are involved in sports, can we do our lessons over Zoom?
At a later time.
Well, okay, so if you're talking about like no,
on the availability.
no, there's like lessons, like teaching lessons. So teaching lessons will always be in person. But if you're talking about, if you meant like the meetings between the chapter team member and your board, those meetings can be organized at whatever time. But in terms of actually teaching a lesson, our lessons will never be virtual. They'll always be in person.
Okay.
What will happen to the chapter after our board has graduated? So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it's really important to have a really strong volunteer base and create a strong framework so that your chapter can last for like hopefully years to come, even after your chapter is graduated. So if your board has graduated, you guys can appoint a new board, and then from there, hopefully things will be able to run smoothly still. Is this only open to high school, and would we be able to branch it towards a university or college? We're only open to high schoolers in the US at the moment. The presentation link? Yes. Are we able to send the link to the presentation?
We can put it in the chat right now.
We'll put it in the chat right now.
Okay, you got it.
I got it. Next question? Question mark?
Let me see.
Okay. I think the link just sent right now. Let me know if it wasn't there. Okay. We're still doing Q&A, but I noticed that some people are starting to leave. So if you still have more questions, you guys are welcome to stay. But thank you guys so much for coming. The webinar is like basically closing up now, except for Q&A. So if you still have some questions, we'll be here to answer them. So if you guys are interested in starting the chapter process, make sure to click the link in our Instagram bio. And yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. We're looking forward to working with our new chapter leaders. Thank you. Okay.
Any answers?
Do we pick where we have after school lessons, or do you guys choose the locations for us? We choose it for you. But you guys are welcome. Your board is welcome to provide suggestions as well, but there's no guarantee that we'll be able to partner with them. Aw. Okay. Since there is a whole curriculum plan, do we have to start a chapter at the start of the school year? You don't have to start a chapter at the start of the school year. When we just have the curriculum planned for the entire school year, but that doesn't mean that you need to start your chapter at the very beginning of the school year. My high school gets out of school at a later time than the middle schoolers and elementary schoolers, so the after school programs start early. Usually after school programs run for a few hours after school, so yeah, typically we have our lessons scheduled for right after school. So let's say school ends at 3:30 for the high school. Our lessons will typically be scheduled for like 30 minutes after, so around 4 o'clock, just to kind of keep a good time frame. And usually after schools are open at that time still.
Answer these two.
Oh, okay.
What's
Can we
wrong?
can we also do lessons at daycares or just after school centers? So daycares, that's not possible right now. We don't really do that because daycare tends to be um people that are kids that are a lot younger than, just kindergarten. Sometimes it's like preschool or even younger than that. So we don't work with daycares right now. It's just after school centers. Will interest groups still be logging hours? Yes. You'll still be able to function as a regular chapter. You just won't be considered a club. How long are lessons usually? Lessons usually last 45 minutes to an hour. How often do you guys check your Instagram DMs? We check them every day, but we have a lot of people logged into our Instagram account, so we have a lot of people from our corporate team. So yeah. As a board member slash chapter starter, is it a requirement for me to attend all after school lessons? No. So that's why, again, it's really important to have a strong volunteer base outside of just your board because, of course, as the corporate team, you do not expect your board members to attend every single lesson. That's just not realistic. How are the materials shipped out to the after-school programs? Are we able to provide other services to the after-school programs in addition to lessons like tutoring or homework help? How many hours do you get from online posting or Instagram posts? So for the Instagram reposts, that grants you 1 hour. We do not allow you to provide other services like the after-school programs like tutoring or homework help. That's not in relation to what we do right now. And the materials are shipped out. As I mentioned earlier, the center team schedules the lesson. So they schedule the lesson, the date, the time, etc. And from there, our logistics team is able to send them to the after school
Yeah, we just
center.
we send them a package.
Yeah,
so
it's
you don't
a
need to worry
package.
about that.
Yeah.
You just have to go there and attend.
Is there a good document to give to school directors about what STEMsters is?
So we do have our website you can send them, but you should honestly do your own information and research about us and just create your own description. But yeah, we have our website which has most of the things.
Okay, how do we know if our school has STEMsters already? Again, just do your own research. Most of our established chapters have their own Instagram account, so maybe do some research to check if there's an Instagram page for it.
And
Also our website as well.
And we also on the chapter interest form in our Instagram link in our Instagram bio, we do have a document that has all of the schools that already have STEMsters on it.
Yeah. Okay. It's been a week since I submitted the interest form. I haven't gotten a DM, so should I be worried or no? Don't be worried. We'll get to you for sure. Unless you're outside of the US. If you're outside of the US, we'll DM you, but again, you're not able to start a chapter if you're outside the US. But if you're in the US, and you filled out the chapter form, then you will definitely receive a response. It's just that we're receiving a lot of DMs every single day, like literally hundreds, especially within the past couple of weeks. So that might be why it might take a little bit longer to get a response, but we'll get to you for sure. Okay. How soon after filling out a chapter interest form and building a board team will STEMsters reach out for training sessions? That can vary depending on your availability. So, let's say it's been about a week since the chapter process got started. Things are going really well. We're having meetings like scheduled,
Like consistently.
consistently. Then we'll, sorry, I spaced out. Basically, like the training sessions count as meetings. So those meetings will be scheduled just based on everyone else's availability. So it can vary depending on how consistent the meetings are being scheduled. Okay. You're welcome.
Is there any other questions?
Any other questions? We're at the very bottom of the chat now, so if you have
Yeah.
any last minute
A lot of
questions.
people left.
Yes. Okay. If 2 people want to start a chapter, do both of us have to join the first meeting? Do you
It
mean?
would be recommended you guys both
Yeah,
do
it's
but
recommended.
only one person has to schedule a meeting.
So don't make sure if you want to start a chapter with, 2 people, then only submit one Google form because if there's 2, then there's no way for us to know that you want to start it with the other person. So
But we will DM you so you can just mention that in the messages.
Okay. Do you get hours from training sessions? That's a good question.
You don't.
I don't think so, no, because you haven't been established as an official chapter, so there's no way for you to track your hours on our program. Is it okay if we only have 4 board members?
As long as you fill out all the requirements, like all the different positions, they'll be fine. Like one person can be both, like
PR and secretary, for example.
It is recommended you guys have
Mhm.
one person for each position. You can also have more than 5
Yeah,
people.
because the workload can get we like to say that the workload is either consistent or increases, so it's really important that you have 5 people for your board at least or even more. But just yeah, if you have 4, it should be okay. Just make sure that all 4 of those people are aware of the workload that they should expect. How can we gain dedicated okay. Someone just joined the meeting. Hi. We're wrapping up the webinar like right now. We're just doing a Q&A, so if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them in the chat. How can we gain dedicated members to join the club? We recommend doing like fun activities at the meetings, at the club meetings, like the general meetings, whether it's like, karaoke or little games, just to keep your volunteers engaged because you don't want it to feel like you don't want your volunteers to think that it's like a chore. You want them to actually have fun and enjoy it. So, of course, like encourage all people that are interested in doing STEMsters, encourage them to teach at least 1 lesson just so they can kind of get a feel of it. And usually after the first lesson, volunteers realize whether or not STEMsters is for them. So
you can also collaborate with other volunteering clubs at your school, like Key Club, like we said earlier. There's another question.
Where?
Oh, wait. I thought there was. Oh, it's a private message.
I'm currently signing up for the club meeting times, but I'm confused if the time on the website is your time, like PST, or my time, which is CST.
I'm pretty sure it should show somewhere on the Calendly that it's your time, but I'm pretty sure it's in your time. If that answers the question. So just look around on the website more.
Yes. Okay, any other questions before we close the Zoom? Are there any requirements we need to meet beforehand to start a chapter? So prerequisites, I guess. So certain volunteer hours and prior experience. You don't need prior experience to start a chapter. We don't have any prerequisites in order to start a chapter, but we do recommend that you
we have the prerequisite that you guys have to have a good volunteering base in your high school. So just a good interest to go to these lessons and actually just volunteer. But personally, you'll need to have like past experience, but it will help you. So okay. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I'm the secretary at my school's Key Club, so when I'm starting my chapter, would you recommend I advertise it at a Key Club meeting to get interest or establish the chapter first? Okay, so if you have connections with, sorry, there's a cat. If you have connections with your school's Key Club, in your case, you're the secretary, and you want to advertise it at a Key Club meeting, we highly encourage you to do that, just so that you can kind of see if that's something that people would be interested in doing at your school. So yeah, that's a really good way to gain some potential interested volunteers. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
Starting right now as a freshman would be recommended. Yeah, you can start a chapter at any grade in high school. So if you're a freshman, oh, sorry.
Oh my.
If you're a freshman and you're interested in, sorry. If you're a freshman and interested in starting a chapter, then yeah, you're definitely welcome to, yeah. Yes. What do you do if the after school programs operate during the summer but you're busy? You would be relying on your other volunteers as well. So if you're busy but you have a lot of like active volunteers that are willing to teach lessons over the summer, then we can definitely organize for that to happen.
So you have to build up that volunteering count up. That volunteer count up.
You want to answer this?
Like
I think it's like how to get it started.
How would an interest group work? So basically all you would need is to have a place where you guys can meet up and hold those club meetings. And this can be at your school, maybe at libraries. You just have to have a group of people that are interested in STEMsters. But everything else would work exactly the same as a club. It just won't be connected to your high school specifically. Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Sorry. Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. Yes. Okay. We'll give you one more minute to put in any last minute questions. If not, then
yeah, make sure to fill out the chapter interest form.
Yes.
If you are interested.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram at _STEMsters_. But I'm assuming most of you guys know what our Instagram is because that's probably how you guys found us. But make sure to follow it. Follow us. Yay.
I think that's all. I think you know.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we're gonna wrap up this meeting. We're gonna go ahead and close the Zoom. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to DM us on Instagram. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming.